You know what? Before we get started, I gotta take care of something real quick. Be right back.
Oh, so I finally figured out why my game capture wouldn't capture.
You mean the camera?
No, in OBS, like why, like if I set it to game, why it wouldn't capture,
What do you mean, like to capture?
like the game screen.
You mean not for this? You mean for like video games?
Yeah, like an actual game.
Right.
It just has to be full screen.
Hmm.
I can't do windowed borderless anymore. If I
That's
want to like,
unfortunate.
if I want to stream it. No, for this, I had to turn off my acceleration, what you calls it, for like my Chrome, and it works in
Hardware acceleration.
Yeah, it works now for like the window capture.
It's weird.
Yeah, because you think that wouldn't affect the, like, I don't know. You think that wouldn't affect OBS, but I guess it does. Where's Kirshner? Yep,
You
never
just
mind.
joined.
Streaming D&D with friends. So I started looking into like Streamlabs. They do like overlays and like you can set up like your like stuff with them for streaming, and I just don't know how to like what I should make it look like, or
Do you have to pay them?
no, it's free. Or Stream Elements, I should say. That's what it's called.
Mine's like more as a journal rather than anything else.
Mm-hmm.
It's like mine's more of like a journal rather than anything else, really.
Oh. Stop your clicky sounds.
That was my knuckle.
It's even worse that it picked up over your microphone.
I have my mic set on not automatically determine volume because you guys said that I was breaking up last time, so
It's only with like
hopefully it
certain
happens
things.
less last time.
I am back.
What were you typing?
Typing.
Said you were typing in Discord.
Oh no, I said I'm back. Oh,
Yeah.
I think I must have hit a key by accident because it has me. The number 3 is in there. I don't know. I don't recall hitting that.
All right, is everybody good?
Uh-huh.
Sure.
Is Brandon there?
It's easy to say anything.
I think he is. I think his mic was unmuted.
Those were fun sounds.
Yeah.
I'm not muted, but my voice isn't coming through.
Yeah. I mean, we hear like the scratching of, like usually whenever it gets muted and unmuted mechanically.
Feedback. No.
God, that's horrible sounding.
I have
His
no idea.
sensitivity is crazy. I mean, I love rubbing sandpaper over
For
my
that-
microphone.
Yeah, for that,
Ew.
that's probably just like a unplug the pink cord and plug it back in.
Yeah,
kinda
turn
thing.
it off, turn it on again. First rule of troubleshooting.
Yeah.
Well, we're in trouble now. Can't fix it.
Ah, you're muted until you fix it. Not dealing with that sound,
Like,
and neither's the stream.
I mean, it almost sounds like it's like talking, like for a little bit there.
God, that was terrible.
Yeah, I don't know. That's really random.
Did you change anything from last session? Did your cat eat something?
It's one dead cat. Well, in the meantime, we can at least like start something. But left off with Soldak was back in Nira's building, and May went over there as well to get away from kind of the funeral. Not where's Gizmo? Oh yeah, Gizmo is out by the the path's edge to the east, just drinking and
Yeah, I just drinking.
checking out the path. Rain and the Shield Guardian were just kind of chilling and relaxing in the grove still. I mean, it's like the nicest part of town. May, that's actually something I was gonna look up.
What was that?
Neutralize poison, isn't that a spell?
I think so. Isn't that what you used on Nira? I would have thought.
No, he used lesser restoration to end the poisoned condition on her.
Okay.
Maybe it's maybe it's protection from poison. Gotta look that spell up. Yeah, it is protection from poison. Okay. Well, basically, he was saying that he you know, there's like still probably some effects in her that she's fighting, so he would have to the next time that they rest, he was going to switch spells to remember that.
Okay.
But until then, you know, like we still have to like keep an eye on her.
Yeah. Yeah, Zoldak just, again, concerned about Mira's well-being, and but yeah, he voices to me that like we need to make one last sweep of the town to make sure there's no other survivors, or to find any survivors, and get away from this poison, and then we can make a plan where to go next.
So I think with everything that went on, with exploring the town and the short rest and that kind of stuff, I think it's about like 11, so like almost noon now.
That sounds about right. Yes, let's see. Yeah, Zodak says, May, will you stay here and keep an eye on her? I'm going to go check the other houses.
You're saying May should stay there, or Zoldak will stay there?
May should.
Okay. Stay.
Yeah.
Okay.
You'd be able to help her if her condition were
Yeah.
help her better than I could if her condition worsens.
Right. Be able to heal her or do any sort of anything else. Plus, also Zoldak theoretically knows the town better than him.
Yeah. So Zoldak's gonna go out and do a search in each of the houses. So
Okay.
he's gonna start. He's just gonna do like a quick patrol around, starting up here at the church. See, he wasn't aware that. Well, he might have known Gizmo went in there, but he's just gonna,
Yeah.
he's not 100% sure, so he's gonna go check.
So this is the Church of Saint Cuthbert. You know that kind of like roughly half the members of the town follow the Saint Cuthbert, and then the other half follow what is called like the Old Faith, which is kind of similar to Alona and like what May follows. So kind of like half of the town goes to Saint Cuthbert, and like the other half stayed with Jero, like that kind of faith. So yeah, whenever you're coming in here, basically the same description that Gizmo got. It just you know that there were many of like the minor priests that were here that would keep everything clean, but obviously like the door is wide open and it's just there's no candles lit anywhere. It's just dark in here aside from what's coming in from the windows, and it definitely seems like abandoned.
Yeah, so yeah, like I said, Zoldak's mostly concerned about finding survivors, and of course, if he maybe spots anything that's like, ooh, that that looks really out of the ordinary, besides the poison and stuff, maybe take a look at that. But he's just doing a quick search, so it's not like.
Yeah, popping in. I mean, it would be obviously the fact that it's like dark in here and it's not as clean as it should be, and also just the main thing is that curtain is down that you can see from right now. Like you can see behind there, and you're like, oh, okay. Like if anybody from the church was here, they would have tried to like repair that,
Yeah.
Because that's like very easily seen.
Yeah. Okay, so if not finding anybody, Zoldak's just going to go down to the houses down here, 16, 17, and 18.
Okay, so 16 is a small house with a nice sign painted with shield and cabinets, you know that this is actually a cabinet maker.
Right.
Going inside, it just, I mean, you know, it looks like a nice house, but the door is completely open and
Yeah.
Yeah.
Again, looking for signs of survivors. So. Or
coming in here, I mean, yeah, it's like their furniture is really nice, but there's nobody in here. It's small enough that you know,
Yeah.
there's no like side rooms or anything.
Yeah. 17.
17, you know that this is the house of the potter, like the clay maker that makes plates and bowls and bottles and flasks and all that kind of stuff.
Okay.
Same story. The door is open, and the door of every place so far has been open.
Okay.
So
I guess Zoldax also, maybe while he's looking, is maybe looking for clues as to what happened, or at least now that he's kind of looked at the third house, he's kind of like, does it look like people left in a hurry? Are there any signs that, like, food was left half eaten, or signs of struggle, or?
Yep. So coming in, I would say that Zoldak is basically, it's kind of like a rest assured thing, because both of the houses that you've gone in so far have had the same look that your house has looked. So it doesn't seem like you've been targeted or anything. It just seems like any of the drawers and stuff is pulled out, and
So maybe somebody was searching for something.
yeah, definitely. It has that
like,
sort of kind of
why would
like,
they pull out drawers and?
yeah, I mean, it seems like a pretty like quick and go, like it could be burglary, or just everything was like pretty rashly done.
Well, yeah, either somebody was looking for something that shouldn't have been there, or people left in a hurry and were just grabbing whatever they could grab quick.
Exactly. Like it seems like there was very little concern for like the condition of things.
Yeah.
Like, right.
So Zolak's going to go down to 18.
Okay, so 18. This is the Browmeister. You know that the Browmeister himself, he supplies like Hamlet's, like kind of like home brew that feeds the inn of the Welcome Wench. In here, his house is a lot nicer, but whenever you go in, it seems basically like the same story. You know that he had
Seems what?
like his home was kind of like half of a home and half of his like workshop where he would make, everything. So there's certainly like more utensils and more barrels here, and the like more obviously beer related things.
Yeah. I missed a little bit of the middle of what you said. Was there?
No, I did actually just pause there.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Okay,
I was
so
going to
that
say
was
that
you
like
pausing.
I was going to say just like more things that you knew about him, but it doesn't matter. Like he had a dog and like a wife and some kids, and the main thing is that he had 3 apprentices that were all like distant nephews and cousins of his. But yeah, I mean there's nobody here. There's not like any bodies. There's not any blood.
Yeah, Zodak's also looking for that too. If there are bodies, again, survivors or lack thereof.
Yeah.
But I guess when he gets to 13, he sees the one body of the one guy.
Exactly. Whenever you come in here, the door is still open from whenever Gizmo left it open, and whenever you come in here, you know that this building is like the stables. That's where like there was that stable boy that they were like kind of yelling at. I think I forget if you were there for that. Like if you had come.
Yeah, I forget.
Yeah, but yeah, there's nothing there. All the horses are gone, and whenever you go in, you do see that their personal door is open, and whenever you go in there, you see a turned over Ranos, and his abdomen section is like exploded, and it's kind of one of those like you walk into the room and pull up your shirt kind of thing, like oh.
Yeah, so Zodak's obviously something a little different, so he's kind of like, okay, well, at least I am making some progress one way or the other, even if it's not the progress he'd like to see, but at least he does know that, okay, they're...
Yeah, I would say not speaking for Zoldak, but like seeing Ranos dead, you're thinking like, oh, well, that's not that big of a loss because Ranos and Greenmag,
Or
the two
jerks.
owners of this, yeah, like you kind of like, you know, a lot of people in the town were just kind of like, oh, they're so out of place, and they're like, you know, they're so greedy, like they're just, you know,
Yeah.
they're just not like good hometown country people. Like they're like city folk basically.
Okay. Yeah, so Zodak's
Trying
gonna
to
make his way up
trying to
to
sell
14.
chainmail underwear for the critical shits.
Well, that would have
Oh,
saved
finally,
somebody
they
at
won't
one
be needing
point.
this anymore.
Yeah.
No, so yeah, Zodak heads to the next house because he's on a mission. So 14, anything there?
So
Or just more of the
14,
same?
this was the carter. He like rented carts that would go to the either like the nearby towns or like any of the traders and stuff that needed their carts repaired or anything like that, like wheels, axles, anything like that.
Mm.
Same story.
Okay. Yeah, I'm just gonna keep going, and if it's basically same story, you know, we can just skip.
Yep.
So,
Yep. 21. This is a guy that kept a bunch of cows and like milk and provided that kind of stuff for the village, and there's nothing different about this area. This is
Okay.
actually 21 is actually the home of Jansen. He was the one that
Away.
yeah, he was the one that was attacked with his kids. So you don't obviously the kids that were attacked and the old woman, their bodies are gone now, but yeah.
Okay. 23 and then 22.
Yeah, 23 is the home of like an outcast family that was he was just like a hunter, and they're fairly new to the town and nobody really trusted them, so they just like built their house kind of like far away from everybody. And but same story here. Here there's just, you know, like some pelts and like that kind of stuff just hanging, so it's at least different, but it's nothing.
Yeah.
22 is the miller. He was actually one of the most like respected people here, and aside from the watermill is still grinding and the grindstones are still turning, there's nothing there's
Okay.
nothing new here. Well, actually, I guess the grindstones wouldn't be hooked up, but like the wheel is obviously still
Okay. Yeah, so Zodak's gonna go over to the narrow spot bend in the river, and he's gonna hold across, and
Okay.
and then he's just gonna again kind of keep going house to house. I guess. Well, is this one here anything, or is that like a stable? Or...
That is part of 12. This is
Okay.
yeah, he's a farmer, and he just has like a large farm
like a
building where
barn.
he stores everything.
Okay.
Yeah. I think I just heard myself, Brandon.
Yeah, a little bit of echo.
Possibly. But anyway, yeah, nothing's different here. It does seem like a lot of like the food and stuff and grain that he was storing in this barn is still there though. So like,
Yeah.
you know, like none of that was taken.
Okay. 11.
11 is you knew that he was a halfling tailor, and his house seems completely cleaned out, but you knew that he didn't have very much to begin with, so
Taking everything was not much.
yeah, so whether it was like that he left, yeah, right.
If he would have, yeah. So that gives me a clue that the people that left took their things. It wasn't because somebody stole it. Because why would all of his belongings be gone specifically? You know.
Right.
So if somebody was stealing something, they wouldn't have taken like all of his belongings. It's more likely that he only had a few things. He took them all with him.
Right.
Yeah. If they did want to steal, Mira wouldn't have any of the gold in her house.
Yeah, and he was very
right
new to the village as well. but everybody liked him.
Okay. How about 9?
9 is the brand new village meeting hall, and there was not
Right.
exactly anything in here to begin with. You obviously have knowledge of like the secret compartment that's in the back.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
But
so
aside
Zolak would
from
be more
that,
checking to see, like, obviously he knows it's not anybody's home, but maybe somebody was
Exactly.
holed up in there.
Yep. Yeah. No, the door is wide open, just like everything else, and
Okay.
Yep.
Going to 10. Still static. Ringing.
yeah, it's
That
funny
sound-
because
The mic is broken. That's what it seems like. Yeah.
so 10. 10. This was a really old couple. They were weavers. Like they dealt with like linen, cloth, all that kind of stuff. A lot of their stuff is gone as well, like their utensils and all that kind of stuff. But you know that they were a little more like well off and
Yeah.
could have had like a cart. They had their daughter who lived with them, who had a husband, and they had 4 workers with them. So they kind of had quite an operation for how small-ish this house is.
Yeah. Okay. He's gonna make his way to 8. And again, if there's stuff where it's like, I'm gonna make my way through the rest of the homes.
It's that stupid ass blacksmith.
So, if it's basically more of the same, I'll
Yeah.
just kind of keep going until I find someone.
Yeah.
or
So
maybe
side.
nobody.
Yeah. Right. Basically, skip the history lesson. Yeah. So
Yeah.
if you checking through each house, it seems like any of the places where there's like large stores of like any of the farms, like 1, 5, and 4 are all farmhouses and barns and stuff. A lot of like the hay and all that kind of stuff was left, but all of the animals are gone.
Okay. Yeah, so Zolak's making a mental note of that. Just okay.
Maybe whatever attacked ate the animals.
Yeah, well, considering we did see that some of the animals were oddly affected, it's possible that they all went insane, or the
Yeah.
people took him with them.
Yeah, so then rest of the other places like 6, 26, 28, and 29, any of those places, that they were artisans or craftsmen, and like most of their tools are gone, but some raw materials are left behind. So that's like really the only pattern that you're seeing. But aside from that, there's no bodies and there's anything like
Okay.
that. And checking Jack Flint's house, 27. He's like basically the mayor, if you will. He's the village elder.
Uh-huh.
Same thing. His stable is empty. His back barn still has hay and supplies in it. And his house, hold on a second.
Yeah.
Yeah, any of the valuables, like his, that he liked to keep, like his gate closed, but obviously it's wide open and you go in there and you can go even to his back room where he would have had like valuables and stuff, and all of that is cleared out. One
Okay.
thing about Jack Flint's is that like his back room is okay, but his main room, like the kitchen, living room, dining room areas are all like torn apart, kind of like everywhere else.
Yeah.
But his back room is like kind of just looks like normal.
Yeah, so Zodak's kind of thinking that the people had at least some time to get away because they had enough time to grab what they could, but obviously it was done in haste, so there wasn't
Yeah.
a lot of time. But
roll a investigation check.
Okay, so Zolak's whatever he's thinking, he's probably not hasn't put it all together that well.
Yeah, it was basically just to see if you would. Well, actually, no. It would be more of a perception. Roll a perception, because it's something, or like
Crit.
insight.
Aw.
Insight. Roll insight as well.
Crit. Almost.
Okay, yeah, because it's not something that you actively look for. It's something that you kind of notice over time, like notice a
Right, yeah,
pattern.
that's kind of more what he's going for, because he's not like nitty gritty
Oh,
searching
it's like,
each
where the hell did
house. It's-
Zoldak go? I was like
Yeah,
watching him on the screen, he vanished.
yeah, he's above the tower.
Yeah.
So, if anything, drawing on the conclusion that you had that like at least some people had time, it seems like any of the places that were basically followers of the old faith, theirs were more like their houses were in more disarray, but anybody that would have been like newer to the town or followers of St. Cuthbert, theirs seems like a little bit not as much. So you do notice that.
So it seems like, okay, so the people that followed the new way, or and the new people had seemed like they had more insight and were able to get things ready and out.
Yeah, roll a I don't even know what this would be. Wisdom saving throw, I guess.
Okay.
Okay. Yeah, what you're thinking is because a lot of the time you, like as Zoldak, whenever you lived in the town, you were kind of just like on the outskirts, and people trusted your opinion because they know what happened to your family and they knew that you were like a soldier. Not many people might have known that you were a mercenary, but they thought, that you were just like a soldier fighting off in wars. So, they kind of had that respect for you. What you're thinking is that people of the old faith have been here longer, and so if something happened here that would cause them to leave, they would probably not want to leave. And so if
Right.
something would happen, it's almost like
It's
it would
their
be
home, sort of
it
like
would
how
yeah,
it
it
was
would
my
almost be like
home.
too late or a rash thing for them to leave. Whereas the other people are like, if something is going bad, they would be like, well, maybe we should get ready, and they would get ready and then leave. So you're thinking that it's kind of like along those lines where like let's say like a hurricane is hitting Florida, and like there's people that are like, no, I'm gonna stay, and then like they stay to a point where it gets crazy, then they're like, crap, I need to leave, so they just like grab stuff and leave. That's kind of like the
Yeah.
old faith way. Whereas the newer people are like, oh god, something bad's happening, I guess we should leave like early, so they kind of like
Yeah.
prepared for the worst
They
and
didn't
left.
have the
Whereas the old
emotional
faith are like,
attachment to keep them behind.
right, yeah, and the old faith were like, no, I don't want to leave, so they like dig in possibly too deep, and
Yeah.
yeah, so
Yeah, because Zolak's kind of thinking, like, as he's contemplating that, he's like, if I was here, I would have, I guess I probably would have stayed as long as I could to fight off whatever it was, because he's had enough of the this kind of things going wrong in his life. So,
yeah.
but yeah, he goes finally to the tower and I guess sees what Gizmo sees or saw last time, that it was.
Yep, coming over to the tower, you notice that all of the workers and all the building has clearly stopped. All that there's tents that are down over in the area 32, and
Yeah.
31. Yeah, coming here, the drawbridge, like the tower, just seems like on full defensive mode. Like the
Yeah.
drawbridge is up, and the stairs are just pretty normal. But
He's gonna call out and see if anyone responds.
yeah,
Just
the only
shout,
thing.
"Hey, is anyone there?"
Yeah, nothing happens to you, but Gizmo, you hear that Zoldak is shouting from near the tower area.
Huh?
Yeah.
Gizmo's still too busy drinking.
During this time, May will have cast another cure wounds.
Okay.
Just update for what he's doing.
Yeah, so Zoldak's gonna see if there's I guess he wants to see if maybe there's a way where he could find a way to see what's inside, because he's thinking that maybe there were maybe people like were holed up in there, and maybe the survivors might be in there, possibly dead. He's not sure, but he wants to rule out the possibility that everybody, like, barricaded themselves.
Yeah, you do know just from your knowledge of like seeing that tower basically be built from start to finish. You do know that that like aside from arrow slits and stuff, they could hear you on the first floor and clearly up on like Burns level, like where his bedroom was, him and Rufus. And you do know that there are lower levels to the tower. So like you are thinking that possibly like, hey, maybe everyone's like down in the basement level and like they literally
Yeah.
can't, hear
They
me.
can't
So
hear. So what are the ways to get in?
So looking directly, it's either through the front door or most realistically, you're going to have to
like climb to the top and then go from the roof down in.
yeah, because Burn has windows, but they're pretty small. Like the fact that
Yeah, it's
Oliver got through
defensive
it.
measure.
Yeah, right. Like the fact that Oliver got through it was only because he was so small.
We don't know he got through it.
Well, true, but I mean, assuming he left through the window.
Dun dun
So yeah,
dun.
you
Plot
would
reveal.
have to make it to the very top, and this is 55 feet tall.
Okay. So Zoldak's thinking, well, let's see, what does he have on
Suddenly pole vault yourself with your halberd,
him?
your glaive.
Yeah.
Whee!
Hold on, I have that one. It's an extension glaive like Goku had when he was a kid, and then I'm gonna make it into a huge pole vault, and then that's what it says in the description, right? And
Yeah, right, guys.
And say, a grappling hook is one of those things where it's like, as a level 1 adventure, when you're buying items, it's like, why would you buy a grappling hook? But it's for situations like this. Yeah, so Zoldak's thinking, well, maybe May or Rain could fly up there and lower the drawbridge, but it's a stretch, and he's kind of thinking, well, I've searched everywhere else, and most people have left, so. But he doesn't want to leave out the possibility that somebody could be trapped in there. So, does he notice Gizmo? So how far is that? Probably at least 260.
I would say if you're actively looking for him, you could roll, but on passive perception, no, you wouldn't. So.
Okay. Yeah, he's not.
Well, no, you would, because you're up higher here, and like assuming that you're kind of walking around and looking, you would clearly see him like off the path.
He's spotted Rain. I guess he would have, as he was searching, he would have spotted Rain and the Shield Guardian, still over there. So maybe he just assumes that Gizmo's still over there.
Yeah. But assuming you are actually kind of like looking around, you would see him, so you do know that he's there.
Okay. So yeah, Zoldak's gonna come over to Gizmo and say, well, Gizmo, I searched the town. Doesn't seem like there's any other survivors, although I can't get into the tower to confirm if anybody's been has barricaded themselves in there. It's possible they're in the basement or the lower levels. Is Gizmo just like passed out, or
He's drinking.
He's drinking.
He's drinking. He's drinking, and he greets Zoldak and continues to drink. In deep thought of why he rolled a 14.
Yeah. So close.
So close, but yet so far.
Alright, well, I'm gonna see if maybe Rain or May can help with getting in the tower, but
Gizmo,
I think if we check... What'd you say?
I have rope, but like Gizmo himself isn't like any use unless like we can somehow dexterity like roll like pole vault you up there like off the shield. But...
Yeah, Zoldak says, "Oh, if only I had a grappling hook." And I doubt any of the townspeople and any of the shops would have such a tool.
Yeah, the only place you would think is Ranos and Grimag,
Oh
their shop,
God,
because
no!
they sold adventuring equipment like specifically for all the people coming to Hamlet that were,
Gizmo-
going to
Yeah.
try to
Gizmo
deal
doesn't
with
wanna go back
bandits.
there.
I guess Zoldak's going to he's gonna try that. So he's gonna make his way back to the shop and see if they have any rope and a grappling hook.
Okay. So the similar scene like Gizmo saw, mainly it's just like a lot of food, and it seems like a lot of the more expensive stuff, like any of the armor. So there's like clothing behind and stuff like that. But roll a D100.
Okay, because Zoldak would how much rope did Gizmo have on him?
Probably 50.
Yeah, I have 50 feet.
So I was gonna say we would need 50 because Zoldak only has 20 feet because his rope broke from a while back. But he would be looking for both the grappling hook and the rope, even if Gizmo has some, just because he would 20 feet of rope. It hasn't been doing much for Zoldak.
Okay.
But anyway, that's a 33.
Yeah, so whenever you're going, you find like 20 feet of cloth rope, but nothing that's like a grappling hook at all.
Yeah, he'll take the 20 feet of cloth rope, just because, like I said, he hit the 20 feet of rope he has. It's usually been too short for what he needs. So he's just gonna grab that out of, hey, this may come in use later. But if there's no grappling hook, he's gonna say, oh, okay, fine. He's going to then go back to Nira and May and relay to May what he found.
Make
Just
him
his
turn
thoughts
into a bird and take the rope with him. Tie it to
Yeah,
the top
that's
of the
what he was
tower.
going. Then he was going to ask May about that. So he said so he says about how like everything's deserted. The only place he hasn't checked or looked in thoroughly is the tower, and he thinks some people might have, barricaded themselves in there, and that he suspects that people that some basically what you said about how some people that weren't as attached to the town left early, but a lot of the people that had more of an emotional attachment stayed, and it was a little, maybe not necessarily too late, but things got more hairy for them.
Right.
And he's suspecting that a lot of people fled, and odds are good that more people survived than. But he doesn't want to get his hopes up, but it's looking more like they fled without much of a struggle. But
Okay.
something obviously bad. Something bad enough to cause the whole town to leave. Obviously swept through here, which we can see.
Yeah, so May will say that he can actually just transform and go into the tower himself.
Yeah, and then lower the drawbridge.
Mm-hmm.
Oh yeah, I guess it saves the rope then.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, assuming he knows how to work all that stuff, but he's like, oh yeah, like I'll be able to do it.
Yeah. So Zoldak's gonna say then, well, okay, so let's check there, but what about Nira? How about?
Yeah, May says as long as basically she's in our hands, she's going to be like stabilized and we'll be able to handle her, but yeah, we can't like let her alone again.
Going
Yeah.
again? Going again! Where you
Ooh,
going?
again.
I was gonna say we do have a shield guardian with us. So maybe Rain and the shield guardian could guard while we explored. Just from a meta-gamey perspective, and there's something, a little bit of static.
I guess I can talk instead of typing.
Yeah.
But
Not as bad as before, no, but it's still like no clear words.
Oh, there's a little scratchy.
Yeah.
But yeah, as long as Nira's like kind of in our possession, we should be good. So, May is. I mean, like he could. If we put her on his back, May could just walk across the water. The water's not super deep where the cross is, so he can get her across fine.
Okay. This is okay. We'll take Nero with us, but if we get into trouble, this could be. Let's hope we don't.
Yeah.
Anyway, let's go get Rain and the Shield Guardian. Then.
Yeah. So assuming
You need to give the Shield Guardian a name.
Steve.
Steve.
We have Hank the Sun Sword. Spank. That sounds bad.
So assuming that you can get Nira on his back, yeah, he'll walk
Hank
across and
Hank and Spank.
everything's fine. Oh god, no, don't remind me of Hank.
That's fucking horrible. What, Hank the Sword?
Yes.
Why?
You mean Frank?
Hank and Hank.
Wait, yeah, we named them both Hank.
Hank's not that bad, but yeah, just call it Hank and Hank. Hank the Second. Oh jeez, this has gone
Hank.
downhill. Hank and Hank 2.0.
So where are we dropping off Nira?
Probably at the tower, wouldn't it make sense?
Okay.
Yeah, I was figuring we'd just take her with us.
Then we can take her to the moat house where she'll get eaten.
Wait, don't we technically have that cart with us?
No.
Or is that
Where
with
it got
Bartleby?
broken.
Oh, really?
Did it get broken?
Yeah, didn't we break it when we went to the Ember Temple?
I know the
Oh
horse
yeah,
got
the
broken.
Well, I thought didn't no.
The horses died, so we couldn't bring it back either way.
That's
Remember,
right,
the horses died in the
horses died.
cold.
That's
Yeah,
what
Brandon-
it was.
Yeah, Brandon's saying the Shield Guardian has been pulling it.
Oh, that's right. We do have a cart with us.
No, we left the. How did we bring the cart back if we left it in the?
Well,
The Shield Guardian pulled it
didn't we?
back to town.
How's that possible if he carried Rain?
Well, his hands versus his shoulder.
Rain just more piggyback ride.
Yeah. Hey, big boy.
Still weird. I think we shouldn't get the cart because the cart's technically not part of this. But
Well, we have a cart magically. We have Oliver's cart, and it has all of our stuff on it.
Oliver's
what
cart.
what all of what stuff?
Well, our party loot. We were saying we had like all of our party loot on the cart or something.
That's what we have
Right.
Zoldak for.
Get a little way down.
You have
the-
become encumbered.
Yeah.
For the next 400 days. Like, oh, okay.
So dropping Nira off, I guess May will.
Let's have a cart because it'd be more fun. And
We have a
convenient.
cart.
We're calling the Shield Guardian Steve.
Okay. Maybe we'll just
Yeah.
wrap up whatever's in the town.
Yeah, basically we can. Yeah, right. We can finish up because like I have stuff for the moat house. So
Plus, Brandon needs to leave a little early anyway, so. Or he needed to leave early anyway.
So I guess May will choose spider form. It's pretty safe to climb up the wall, and he. Actually, I have to look at what happens to him.
Oh God, we have to look up what happens.
If
This is-
anything happens to
This
him,
is not going to end safely.
I chose the wrong words.
May's going to fall back down as a spider and just
I
explode.
chose
Oh
Yes.
God.
Step
the wrong
down.
words. Okay.
Watch, Brandon. Your mic will start working after we close the session
Yeah.
for the day.
God, Zeus will come down and grant the holy mic has 1 gigabyte per second audio quality.
Because that's
Every
necessary.
word just explodes our speakers. Okay. So a few minutes go by and still nothing happens. Oh, actually, I guess does someone wants yeah. Yeah, although everything Brandon's been trying to say just happens in one giant 1 second word.
Mhm.
Boo! Someone gonna get Gizmo.
Why?
Yeah. Zoldak will go and tell Gizmo, "Hey,
Whatever.
we're
Well,
going in the
I think I
tunnel."
would have noticed by this point.
Yeah.
Yeah, I guess so. So yeah, like about 5 minutes goes by, and eventually the drawbridge starts like lowering, and then there's the
Too low.
yeah, assuming everybody like kind of goes up there.
Yeah.
And there's the iron door, and then that starts creaking open slowly, and
Reveal.
opening up, and you can see inside. And I forget if Zoldak has seen in here.
He has, because he was
Oh,
here.
true.
When,
Whenever
yeah.
Burn, yeah.
Gizmo was
So yeah,
not.
then May comes out of one of the side rooms and is kind of like wiping his brow, and he's like, "Oh man, that was really hard to operate." There's like a winch pulley system in there.
Yeah.
So
Thank you, May.
And Oliver appears and murders May.
yep.
All right, so we get inside. And...
Yeah, so coming in, this is the main hall, and it doesn't look drastically different from the first time that you were in here. Obviously, like the door was closed, so there's no like
Yeah.
random like dirt or anything kind of in there.
Zoldak kind of says, "Well, it's odd that the door was closed. There would have to have been somebody in here to close it,
Mm-hmm.
because when somebody leaves, they would leave it open, unless they climb down a rope from the top of the tower." But yeah, Zoldak says, "May, did you see anybody when you were coming downstairs?"
No, there's nobody here, and I haven't heard anybody yet.
All right,
Like
well, let's check.
downstairs
There's a
or
basement
upstairs.
level, so let's check down
The
there.
only thing is that Burn and Rufus's doors were closed, but I mean, you know, that's the only thing of note.
Maybe just to make sure we don't leave any stone unturned. Yeah, so Zodak's going to go to up the stairs to their doors and see if they're
Okay.
locked, and if not, break them down.
Yep. So you go up one floor, and at the top of the stairs, there's a ladder that goes up one more level. That is kind of like right next to the staircase, and then because all the rooms in here are basically like a circle, because the whole tower is a circle, aside from like the thickness of the walls encroaching in. Basically, the other there's at least on the map, the left half of the tower is where the stairwell is, and then the right half of the tower, there's like a wall that cuts the circle in half, and then on two sides, kind of equally spaced, there's
Yeah.
doors. The one on the right is Burns.
Okay, Zodak will start there.
Actually, the one on the right is Rufus's. The one on the left is Burns.
Okay, well, he'll still start with the one on the right.
Yeah. So the door opens, and inside is obviously Rufus's room, and it looks like it doesn't look in like all the drawers aren't pulled apart. Everything just seems fine, but there's nobody in here.
Okay.
It
Yeah,
seems
so
well furnished. Yeah, it has like
yeah,
large
Zolak's
bed
just like, well,
chests.
okay, he might have not fled or in the same way other people did, but we'll keep
Yeah,
that
you
in
do
mind.
see. Yeah, like the only thing that you see of interest in here is that there seems to be a bow and quiver of arrows hanging on the bed, and that's basically it. Like that's the only like item that you can see aside from like papers and other kind of just
Yeah.
like guard stuff. Yeah.
Yeah, Zolak says, he thinks for a moment. Yeah, he'll leave the bow and arrows there and go to the next room.
Mm-hmm. Yep. So similarly, Burns' room opens up, and it looks the same as basically it was whenever you were last here. If anything, it looks a little bit cleaner because it was kind of like a little bit of a scrap whenever you were here. Whenever Burn got attacked and all that kind of stuff. Burns' body isn't here anymore, obviously,
Yeah.
and
I would hope not.
yeah. Aside from that, a lot of his, he had a bunch of kind of like alchemy stuff set up and robes and all that kind of stuff. So
Yeah, so he says, okay. Well, anyway, so Zolak just kind of mumbles to himself, all right, let's check the basement, and
okay.
heads back down to the first floor. And if May's still there, he says, nope, nothing up there. Doesn't look disturbed, though, so.
Mhm.
But I suspect if we find anything, it'll be in the basement.
Yeah, so heading down to the lower level, heading down, like, so you're at the main level with the iron door, and then you go down one more level. Down here seems to be kind of like the storage room for like food. There's still a lot of food, ale, beer, wine, oil, and all this kind of stuff, like a lot of storage stuff. But you do
Yeah.
actually see that there is a body here.
Uh-oh.
Okay. Zolak gets his glaive ready just in case.
Yeah, and the way you know that it's a body, or at least like a very drunk person or something, because of the way that it's like face down on
Kinda
the
what?
ground and splayed kind of weird. Like
Yeah, can you say that again? It cut out.
so you know that it's a body, or at least a very drunk person, because of how their body is positioned, like kind of just like as if they were tossed on the ground, like ragdoll. Like
Yeah.
it's not a comfortable like, oh, I'm kind of tired, I want to lay down, and they don't lay down like that. Like
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, Zolak's just gonna call out. Not shout, but loud enough for the person to hear him.
yeah, and I'm
Okay.
assuming that May and Gizmo are with Zoldak as well,
Yeah.
or at least just like
Yeah.
everybody is with him, like whether we move them on the map or not.
Yeah. Yeah, so Zolak just kind of calls out, are you alright?
Because I was thinking about like maybe Gizmo like standing like outside, but there's really no point because like if somebody comes in, I think we'd hear him anyway.
Yeah, by the time we're down to this level, because there's no more light, May would have activated his belt just so that he could see, because it is dark down here.
Yeah.
Like the entire tower is like pretty dark. The only place where light is coming in are the arrow slits. There's no
Basically,
torches or
yeah.
anything.
So basically, you're saying all the torches either gone or just like burned out.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so Zolak's going to call out, and if he doesn't get a response, he's going to, with the blunt end of his glaive, he's going to kind of reach it out and just kind of like slide it on the ground to like tap the person.
Yeah, so you tap it and it just, it doesn't respond. It seems stiff.
Okay. Does with May's light, if he moves close enough, does he recognize the person?
Roll a I don't know, I guess like intelligence saving throw for memory.
Okay.
No, but the person is wearing like a little bit finer clothes, so you know that it's not like a commoner or a farmer or anything.
Maybe like one of the
I
guards.
was
They
gonna say,
in
so,
seem
tower.
so can he tell? Does that mean it
it's
doesn't
it's
belong
not
there?
it's not a guard, right? Yeah, you know that it's nobody from the tower, basically,
Well, I
Okay.
meant
and they
like the
seem kind of
town in
tall and
general.
skinny. You can't really tell that, but you know that it's not like a farmer or a guard or a commoner or.
Yeah. Any signs of poison?
I said, do we get a sense that he's like the guy from the shop?
Um, now that not that Zoldak saw, but Gizmo would recognize that this seems kind of like a similar situation to the shop.
Great.
Yeah, so Zoldak says, well,
Gizmo relays that information and gives a sign of caution.
yeah, must have been someone determined to stick it out and hold out here.
Yep.
Well, my
Should
thoughts are then
should
we
we attempt to
can't
flip
do.
him over?
No, Zodak's just gonna leave him there, considering what what happened with Gizmo. Zodak's gonna
Smart
say,
choice.
well, we might want to take some of this food with us because I'm not sure how long we might have to go. Assuming it's good food and not poison, we might want to load some of this onto our cart and take it with us.
Yeah, there's definitely um supplies here that you could manage. Like there's still any kind of like bottles of beer or anything, any of the fresher food that would have been picked from any of the farms is kind of bad, but there is like sacks of grain and anything like that that you think you might actually be able to manage. So
Yeah,
if you want to spend like probably a good 10-15 minutes kind of like getting anything that you can and putting it up like the floor, just getting it out of this room, you could
yeah,
if you wanted to.
yeah. So Zodak's gonna do that because he's not sure how long we might have to be traveling, and um, we would have had some food with us when we left Barovia, but Zolak's just kind of anticipating like we might be out in the wild for a long time because there's no telling how far this poison has spread
Yeah.
already,
So,
and clean food, fresh food might be difficult to come by.
yeah, so as you spend the time and like all of us are kind of like helping move some of the kind of stuff and avoiding the body basically. Um Over the course of the time, there are two things that you realize. One, the body on the ground belongs to Greemag, the other owner
Wait, really?
of the trader. Yeah, like you realize that just like passing his body and just you have enough time to remember and see like his body features and stuff. That
Yeah,
is Greemag, and part of that is okay. Why is he like in the tower? But you don't really have like the full
Where'd
story.
all his Yeah, because you said that because you Gizmo investigated their shop and like the holy water and all the expensive stuff was gone. So it's like, where did that stuff
Mhm.
go?
Right. So then the second thing is that there is kind of like a canopy tarp thing covering another set of stairs that go down deeper a level.
yeah, Zorak. Once we kind of get the food out
Mm-hmm.
and loaded, and just make sure again Nero's okay. Zoldak's going to suggest that we look down there.
Mm-hmm.
So we'll go over to the tarp and move it aside and see what's on the lower level.
Okay, so creeping down to this lower level, and May's with you and Gizmo, so we have light and all that kind of stuff. It seems like there's heaps of straw and hay down here and oats and stuff. So you're thinking that like,
Horse
um,
storage.
yeah, exactly. And this area is big enough, and you're kind of noticing now that the stairs are big enough that a horse could actually go up and down these stairs. So you're thinking like, wow, this is like, yeah, like horses might have actually been down here. I mean, you like smell it too, and The only thing really of note is that there are 4 wooden, like oaken doors down here that are against the wall, kind of near the stairs.
Okay.
But or all 4 seem like very secure.
Hmm.
Like basically that they would be kind of like the dungeons or the prison kind of
Yeah.
thing.
Zoldak says, well, just for completion's sake, probably, I don't know if we'd be able to break those down or find the key. I kind of doubt that. They're probably locked. And he's going to go up on one of the doors and see if they open.
Mm-hmm. Yep. So you open up the first one, and
So he's like, oh, okay, not locked.
Yeah. So it creaks open, and yep, it's not locked. And there is like nothing inside. There's like a little kind of like blanket on the ground and like a stool, but that's it.
Yeah, prison
Stool.
area.
Yep. There's a giant piece of poop.
The poop took over. That's what caused the poison. Scenario over.
It's a lime green piece of poop.
Well, gang, looks like that wraps up that mystery.
Yeah. And I would have gotten away with it too if it was a few deadly kids.
We didn't do anything.
Don't quote copyright on Twitch. They'll get mad at us.
Good. I'm glad.
Nah, it's okay.
It was a parody, Tim. We're allowed to do it.
Parody.
So basically, this place has got nothing in it but food, which we snagged.
Well, so you've opened one of 4 doors.
Yeah.
Gizmo
Okay,
goes
let's try
and
the other
smashes
3.
the other one.
Okay, so the second one, you hit it with your hammer and nothing happens.
Really?
Yeah.
I don't believe you. How about now? Oh. How about now? Now! I want to crit. Where's the... Oh, there it is!
Okay, so whenever you hit your hammer, roll damage.
What do you mean roll damage? Oh,
Well,
like...
actually, yeah, I guess you don't. Nah, I guess you don't really roll.
Wah, wah, wah.
Just roll it, and I'm gonna double. Okay, so you do 16 damage to the door. So you hit it, and yeah, like you kind of like blast like a little hole into it. You know, you keep swinging your hammer at it and trying to get in there, and eventually you blast a little hole in there, and it seems like the same story inside as the first one.
It's fun.
Yeah, so I'm gonna open up the other 2 doors just to make sure, although he's not expecting to find anything.
So the third door opens as normal like the rest, but the last door is actually locked. It does not open immediately.
Okay. So then Zoldak's gonna motion over to Gizmo and say, you want at it?
Yeah, so I mean, given enough time, there's nothing against anything. Yeah, eventually, like you hit kind of like the braces enough, and yeah, you can open up the door.
Damn, that 1d4 actually gave me the whole 4. My lightning damage.
Nice.
And then we'll do Divine Strike just for the hell of it. Extra 5.
Oh. Oh, that's
So
true.
anything
You
in
could have
here?
done that on any of your hits. So in here, it's the same story with the stool and the bed on the floor, but there is actually a body that's under the blanket. It seems to be facing the wall in like kind of fetal position, like laying on its side.
Yeah, Zoldak's gonna with his glaive with the blunt end try to like place it under the blanket and just kind of like lift it away. He's assuming the person's dead and probably starved to death, but
Mm-hmm. Yep. So as you peel that away, you recognize suddenly that it is Oliver.
What?
oh. Zoldak's kind of like does a double take and is like not sure what to expect. He's
Yeah, he kind of had like a hat on before whenever you saw him, but like the hat is now like either not on his possession or he just doesn't have it, and he just kind of like looks all filthy, but you recognize that it's the same clothes that he was wearing when you last saw him, and yeah, he's dead.
Gizmo prays to Zeus and then starts to dance.
Prayers of thanks.
I forget if May ever got to meet Oliver.
No,
or
he
not.
did
I don't
not.
think he did.
Yeah, he did.
Yeah, so
Yeah, out of the temple. Remember when they all showed up? That group of people?
oh
Zeus
yes,
with
yeah,
him.
yeah.
So Zoldyck's gonna see if Oliver is like does he look like he's prone to bursting? Yeah, or I guess he'll have May.
Oh.
What, a 28?
Yeah.
Yeah, so basically May is kind of just like looking at Gizmo and just being like, strange tradition of the dwarves to celebrate whenever somebody dies. Or like whatever. But yeah, May's gonna bend over and look at Oliver's corpse and just try to see if there's anything, and basically the only conclusion he draws is, yeah, it seems not that I know much about gnomes, but yeah, I think he starved to death. I don't see any signs of like the poison on him. Like he didn't die from the poison he starved in.
Yeah. I guess here he. Can you hear me? Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Okay, I noticed my connection was bad, but anyway,
Yeah.
Zoldyck's going to do an investigation and see if there's if Oliver might have left any clues or had anything on his person, like notes or anything of the sort that might indicate what happened here. But he's not expecting to find anything, but now he's found Oliver. It's kind of like, okay.
Okay, so as you're did you get a 7? Yeah, so the only thing he doesn't like, he used to have like a rapier and a dagger and all that kind of stuff on, but now he just kind of has like plain clothes. The only thing that you find on him is a piece of paper, like not like a scrap of paper, but like basically an official document that has the symbol of like a winery on it, and it is basically kind of like the gnomish winery that he was selling his Ernst White wine for. So basically it's kind of like his certificate of authentication, whatever.
Authenticity.
Yeah, authentication, but it's not like authentication. Yeah, certificate of authenticity.
Of the winery.
Too much government authorization. Like he's authorized. This is his license.
To sell wine?
No, it's like it's kind of like the signet ring, like it's proof that he is from that gnomish winery. Like it's his brand kind of.
Okay.
That he is like a seller for it and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
So
Zoldyck says, not that I think this will come in handy, but it's not doing Oliver any good here.
Yeah.
So
the only other thing that he has on him is a little like iron ring. No, he doesn't have any of that. He just has like a little iron ring that seems actually kind of crappy.
Are we done with Oliver? Are we done investigating him?
Yeah, we're done.
Gizmo's 12 damage is to Oliver's corpse. Well,
so Zoldyck's
12
take
and then
that certificate,
8 damage.
But
okay. Yeah, I mean, assuming that you do actually hit Oliver, yeah, I mean, it's like no resistance. You just like hit him.
Woohoo! Gizmo's still happy.
May is kind of confused at why you're doing that, but
Gizmo doesn't care.
Doesn't question your personal relationship that you have with gnomes.
All right, Zoldyck says, well, unfortunate that we find Oliver here in these conditions. Unfortunate we find anybody here.
For sure it was stated in the moat house that Gizmo just hates Oliver.
Unfortunate
Gizmo,
that
roll a
alignment shift check. No.
um roll a what is your stone cunning?
It doubles history, I believe.
History? Yeah, I was just trying to
And
remember
it
what
gives
it
me
enhanced.
advantage.
Yeah,
Oh,
so
okay,
roll
that's
that
fine.
with advantage as you're down here, like down in the basement level, because now it's like there's not really the only wood is the door, so the only thing left. Yeah, with the 16, you notice that kind of behind the staircase coming down here, like behind the highest part, you notice clearly that there's like a false door in the wall towards that side.
So out of curiosity, I'm gonna roll this again and just see what it gives me. I was hoping maybe for a crit. But remember the one time I kept doing all those history rolls and it's like crit, 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 crit. Like, oh, okay. Gizmo is historical as shit right now. Gizmo points out false door.
Yeah, so that is okay. Probably a secret way in and out. I expect this to lead outside, but let's see. And he's
Yeah,
gonna
by this
open.
point, May is like working his way up the stairs, but as Gizmo says that, he's kind of like looking at the wall and just being like, oh, I would have never seen that.
Yeah, so Zoldak opens the secret door, or tries to.
Yeah, so it just seems to like push open, and you hear kind of like a little bit of a like rush of water back here, and it just kind of goes back to like an earthen tunnel area. Like this doesn't seem very well worked at all.
Yeah, probably a secret way out or in, if the case may be.
It seems to go forward about 15 feet, and then it turns right.
Okay, Zoldak's gonna go down that way and then glance to the right.
Okay. As you glance to the right, it seems to go about another 30 to 40 feet, and then it just ends. But you
All
can
right.
hear like a little bit of water from down at the end.
Yeah, Zoldak's gonna proceed down the passage.
Yep. So assuming like May's there, and you have your vision and dark
Yeah.
vision and all that kind of stuff. Yeah, you can see that there is just a spring, like a natural spring that's down here, and
A water
it's not.
source.
Yeah, and it's not very deep at all, so there's no like giant crayfish can jump out.
Okay.
But yeah, so this just seems kind of like a natural cave that was formed, and they just kind of like picked a really good spot to build
Yeah.
the tower.
All right. Zolak says, "Well, all right, we've wasted enough time here. Let's go."
Yeah. So everybody going back up to the first floor, and then I guess spending some time. I guess Nero was inside, like on the first floor or something, somewhere
Yeah.
where he was nearby.
We would have just kind of set her down in maybe one of the bedrooms or.
Yeah. So I guess assuming that we have Oliver's cart and all that kind of stuff, we just pack any of the food that we got from there, and I can make a list of like exactly what we get later. But basically, it's just kind of like major trading style food supplies. It's like 50-pound sack of wheat, like
Yeah.
stuff like or flour.
Something we can use for cooking to make some meals and.
Yep, enough to feed a tower.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, Zoldak says, "Okay, like I said, I think we wasted enough time here. Let's try to see how far this poison extends, and see if we can get out of here and get to a place of real safety."
Yeah.
And then
Because I should have had music on the whole time.
I agree. We should. I think the moat house is a destination in the near future.
Yep. So packing up the cart and assuming that we have Rain and the Shield Guardian with us, and the Shield Guardian's pulling the cart and all that kind of stuff. Yep. I guess basically we head on the path over to the east.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh crap. Yeah. Assuming we, Rain's like reading her book or like writing any of her findings about the poison, just anything in the town, and doing all that, and just like kind of watching over the grove and stuff, and we all get her and bring her over and tell her about, kind of that we saw Greymag down in the basement, and just any of your findings about kind of like how people packed up and left, and just all the collective strangeness of this all.
Hmm.
Yeah, as we approach over to this way, the woods seem very similar to the woods to the west. It doesn't seem like any worse or anything drastic like that. At least not yet. So I guess as we start making our way on the path, we will call that for now and resume.
Yeah, I was thinking that's probably a
next
good
time.
place to stop.
Do-do-do-do-do-do-do.
Oh my god, every session should be an hour and 20 minutes. What?
I think the longer sessions, like, more happens.
Yeah.
So no XPs?
No, I'll say, I'll say everybody get, for like basically exploring the rest of the town and going through the tower. I didn't know if you guys were going to do that or not, and kind of like finally see what's inside of that. Everybody gets 1,000.
Okay. I'll have to make sure update Rain's character sheet.
Yeah. So we should be at 70,750.
Hmm. Very nice.